Your life won't change when problems disappear. It will change when you decide to stop feeding them and start building solutions. Every page of this book is a reminder that you already hold the power to shift your focus, reclaim your energy, and write a stronger story for yourself. The only question is, will you keep waiting for things to fix themselves, or will you finally choose to rise? Life begins to shift the moment you decide to focus on solutions instead of problems. Most people spend their energy replaying what's wrong, rehearsing the same frustrations, and waiting for something outside themselves to change. The more attention they feed the problem, the heavier it feels, and the more powerless they become. But the instant you take responsibility for your next step, you reclaim control. Responsibility doesn't mean everything is your fault. It means you choose how to respond now. It means no more waiting for others to fix your life. No more pointing fingers. No more handing away your power. When you accept ownership, you begin to ask better questions. What can I do? What action can I take? How do I move forward? Blame keeps you stuck in the past. But responsibility pulls you towards solutions. And that's where growth begins. Your life will always follow the direction of your focus. If you feed your attention to what's broken, what's missing, or what isn't working, your mind will reinforce those patterns until you feel trapped in them. But when you deliberately shift your focus to progress, your perspective changes. You begin to see opportunities that were invisible before, because you train your brain to look for what's useful instead of what's urgent. Focus is like a muscle. The more you practice guiding it, the stronger it becomes. That's why you must become aware of what steals your attention, whether it's fear, comparison, or distraction, and redirect it toward clarity. Growth doesn't come from drowning in what's wrong. It comes from choosing, again and again, to invest your energy where progress can grow. Fear tries to stop that progress by inflating problems in your mind. The longer you hesitate, the larger your challenges appear. A simple step can grow into an imagined mountain if you give fear too much space. That's why you must act before fear has time to expand. Movement proves to your mind that you're not helpless. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision to take action while fear is still present. You'll feel the nerves, the doubt, the resistance. But once you move, fear begins to lose its grip. Waiting for the perfect moment only builds hesitation into a habit. But the moment you act, you gain momentum. And momentum is more powerful than fear. Setbacks will always be part of the process. You can't control every event, but you can control how you respond to them. Reactions are habits. Complaining, blaming, or shutting down only deepen the pain. But when you pause, breathe, and choose your response intentionally, you take ownership of your growth. Setbacks aren't permanent unless you let them be. They can either be a wall or a stepping stone, depending on how you use them. Taking ownership doesn't mean denying your emotions. It means not letting them control your decisions. You don't have to like the challenge, but you do have to decide whether it will make you bitter or better. And when you respond with clarity instead of chaos, you discover a strength that setbacks cannot take away. One of the biggest traps that keeps people stuck is circular thinking. The mind begins looping the same worries, the same what-ifs over and over, without leading anywhere. It feels like effort, but it's not. It's mental exhaustion disguised as problem-solving. If your thoughts don't lead to answers, lessons, or action, then you're not progressing. You're just spinning. The key is awareness. Notice when you've thought the same thing 5 times without new insight, and interrupt the loop. Write it down. Move your body. Change your environment. Anything that breaks the cycle. Thinking should clarify, not paralyze. You don't need more circles. You need better direction. By catching the loop early, you free up energy for solutions and step back into control of your own mind. Most people are conditioned to panic when life throws something unexpected at them. Their chest tightens, thoughts race, and decisions become impulsive. But panic rarely solves the problem. it usually makes it worse. What you really need in those moments is space. Space to breathe, space to think, space to separate the event from the story your mind is telling about it. Creating space doesn't mean doing nothing. It means slowing down enough to respond with clarity instead of reacting out of fear. That pause, even if it's only a few seconds, gives you the power to choose wisely, and wise choices build stronger outcomes than rushed reactions ever could. In the middle of chaos, one of the most powerful questions you can ask yourself is, what would actually help right now? Not what feels comfortable, not what others expect, not what distracts you, but what would genuinely help. This question pulls you out of emotional spirals and grounds you in the present moment. It cuts through noise and excuses, turning your attention toward practical steps. Sometimes the answer is simple. Take a break. Finish one small task, have an honest conversation, or just breathe. Progress isn't about fixing everything at once. It's about finding the one action that makes the moment lighter and more manageable, and repeating that habit until it becomes natural. Complaining is one of the easiest ways to waste energy. It feels like release, but it doesn't. Every complaint steals time and focus that could have gone into a solution. Instead of describing problems, trade the habit for action, even if it's small. Replace each complaint with one useful step. Make the call, organize the mess, address the issue, or move your body over time. This shift rewires your mind from reacting to creating. Progress doesn't come from dwelling on frustration. It comes from taking responsibility, one small choice at a time. Emotions are not the enemy, but when left unchecked, they blur your judgment. The worst decisions often come when emotions are high and clarity is low. Calm is not a luxury, it's a skill. You can train yourself to pause, breathe, and let emotions settle before acting. That calm creates space for better thinking. It helps you respond in ways that align with your values rather than your impulses. You don't have to eliminate emotion. You just have to lead it instead of letting it lead you. When you build the discipline to stay calm under pressure, you protect your future from the cost of reactive choices. And through it all, you must remember that growth is rarely fast. Progress often feels too slow, and that's when doubt creeps in. But slow progress is still progress. Consistency matters more than speed, because consistency builds foundations that last. Many people quit, not because they weren't capable, but because they lost patience in the quiet seasons, when nothing seemed to change. The truth is, the work is always doing something beneath the surface, shaping habits, strengthening resilience, preparing you for the breakthrough. Results come to those who refuse to stop. You don't need to see progress instantly. You need to trust that every small, steady step is carrying you closer. Discipline is the bridge between what you want and what you build. Motivation comes and goes, and relying on it will leave you inconsistent. But discipline carries you through the days when you don't feel like trying. Every small act of discipline is a vote for the future you want to create. It's the quiet strength of showing up when it's inconvenient, of choosing the hard thing over the easy escape. Discipline is not punishment, it's freedom. The freedom to trust yourself, to rely on your own word, and to know that your actions will eventually match your vision if you keep walking the path with consistency. But discipline becomes easier when you learn to measure progress the right way. Most people quit because they look for results only in big visible wins, forgetting that transformation is built in small increments. Progress isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's the subtle shift in how you think, how you react, or how you handle setbacks. If you only celebrate the final outcome, you miss the victories along the way. The key is to track your growth in daily effort, not just in outcomes. Ask yourself, did I move forward today, even a little? That small acknowledgement fuels your belief, and belief is what sustains effort when results are slow to show. Equally important is the ability to build resilience when life doesn't cooperate. Setbacks are guaranteed, but your response to them is a choice. Resilience isn't about avoiding pain. It's about refusing to let pain define you. It's learning to bend without breaking, to carry lessons instead of scars, to adapt without losing sight of your direction. Each time you recover, you strengthen your identity as someone who gets back up. Over time, that identity becomes unshakable. You stop fearing failure because you know you can handle it. You stop fearing challenges because you know you can grow through them. Resilience turns obstacles into training grounds. Resilience grows even stronger when paired with gratitude. Gratitude shifts your perspective from scarcity to abundance. Instead of only noticing what's missing, you train your eyes to see what's present, what's working, what's possible. Gratitude doesn't deny pain, it balances it. It reminds you that even in difficulty there are things worth valuing, lessons worth keeping, and opportunities to grow. A grateful mind is not easily broken because it refuses to let negativity dominate the story. Gratitude strengthens resilience by making hope feel real, and hope is what keeps people moving forward when logic says stop. And in all of this, you must remain adaptable. Life rarely goes according to plan, and rigidity can turn progress into frustration. Adaptability is the ability to pivot without losing your purpose. It's knowing when to hold firm and when to adjust, when to stay the course and when to change direction. Adaptability doesn't mean giving up on your goals. It means staying flexible in how you reach them. The world rewards those who can adjust because challenges, setbacks, and changes are inevitable. When you remain adaptable, you stay open to solutions that weren't visible before. You stop fighting reality and start working with it, and that shift keeps you moving when others freeze. Clarity is power, and too often people stay stuck because they aren't clear on what they truly want. Without clarity, distractions multiply, doubts grow louder, and progress feels aimless. But when you define your priorities, when you strip away the noise and choose a direction, your energy becomes focused. Clarity doesn't mean knowing every detail of the journey. It means knowing where you're headed and why it matters. With that vision in mind, even small steps feel purposeful, and each decision has a filter. Does this bring me closer or pull me further away? Without clarity, every path looks tempting. With clarity, the right path becomes obvious. Once clarity is found, it needs structure creates freedom because it takes away the chaos of constant decision, making people often resist structure, thinking it limits them. But in reality, it protects their energy. A consistent routine, clear priorities, and simple systems reduce wasted effort. Structure is the framework that allows creativity, productivity, and growth to flourish. Without it, even motivated people burn out. With it, you create a rhythm that carries you forward, even on days when your energy is low. Structure doesn't mean rigidity. It means designing your life in a way that makes success easier and distractions harder to slip into. No matter how much structure you build, life will still test your patience. Impatience convinces you to quit too soon, but patience allows you to stay the course until results catch up with effort. Patience doesn't mean sitting still. It means persisting steadily without demanding instant gratification. It's the ability to work through the quiet seasons, to keep building when nothing visible seems to change. Patience is not passive. It's active endurance. It's the refusal to give up when others stop. And the truth is, lasting growth requires more patience than most people realize. The ones who learn to stay the course become the ones who eventually succeed. Along the way, fear will continue to show up, whispering reasons to hesitate, magnifying risks, and replaying old failures. Fear is persuasive because it feels real, but most of what it says never comes to pass. The only way to shrink fear is through action. Fear feeds on hesitation. It starves when you move. Courage isn't a sudden absence of fear. It's the choice to act in spite of it. Each time you move forward while fear is present, You prove to yourself that you are stronger than your hesitation. And each repetition makes the voice of fear quieter. You don't need fear to disappear. You only need to stop letting it decide your pace. And through all of it, consistency is the glue that holds everything together. Anyone can act with discipline for a week, or push through fear once, or be patient for a short season. But consistency is what compounds those efforts into lasting results. Success is rarely a product of huge moments. It's the outcome of small actions repeated daily. Consistency builds identity. The more you show up, the more you see yourself as someone who follows through. It doesn't require perfection. It requires persistence. Even when you fall short, returning to the habit again and again keeps the momentum alive. Consistency turns intentions into transformation. Energy is the fuel that drives everything you do, yet most people waste it without even realizing it. They spend hours on distractions, arguments, and overthinking, leaving themselves drained before they ever invest in what matters. Protecting your energy means being intentional about where it goes, because not every thought, task, or person deserves your full attention. When you direct your energy toward growth instead of drama, toward solutions instead of problems, you feel lighter, clearer, and more capable. Energy is finite each day, so the quality of your life depends on how you choose to spend it. But protecting energy is only half the equation. You also need to replenish it. Rest is not laziness. Too many people glorify exhaustion as if it's a badge of honor. But burnout is not progress. True strength comes from cycles of effort and recovery. Sleep, stillness, and quiet reflection are not optional extras. They are the foundation that keeps you steady for the long run. When you respect rest, your work becomes sharper, your focus deeper, and your resilience stronger. Balance doesn't mean equal time for everything. It means giving yourself enough restoration to sustain the fight for what matters most. In protecting and restoring energy, your environment plays a massive role. The spaces you live and work in either support your focus or scatter it. Cluttered spaces create cluttered minds. Toxic environments breed toxic thoughts. But intentional spaces, whether it's a tidy desk, a calm corner, or simply surrounding yourself with the right people, set the stage for better choices. Your environment shapes your habits more than motivation ever will. If you want to grow, design spaces that make good habits easier and bad ones harder. Don't just rely on willpower. Let your surroundings do some of the work. Equally powerful are the people you choose to keep close. Relationships are energy exchanges. Some people lift you, challenge you, and help you see possibilities. Others drain you with negativity, gossip, or constant demands. If you want to build a stronger future, you must be intentional about your circle. It doesn't mean cutting everyone off, but it does mean setting boundaries and choosing proximity. Wisely, surround yourself with people who push you to rise higher, not those who keep you tied to old versions of yourself. Growth is contagious when you're with the right people, and stagnation is just as contagious when you're not. Finally, you must learn to silence the noise within yourself. External distractions are powerful, but internal ones are louder. Doubt, comparison, regret, and self-criticism rob more dreams than failure ever will. Training your inner voice to speak with clarity instead of chaos is one of the greatest skills you can build. That doesn't mean pretending everything is perfect. It means learning to guide your thoughts instead of being dragged by them. When your inner dialogue shifts from constant criticism to steady encouragement, your actions follow. You become braver, calmer, and more focused. Not because life got easier, but because you stopped fighting against yourself. Success often comes down to momentum, and momentum is built through small wins. Too many people wait for massive breakthroughs while ignoring the quiet victories that build confidence and belief. Completing one task, keeping one promise to yourself, or choosing discipline over distraction. All of these count as progress. Small wins compound, stacking day after day until they create unstoppable momentum. The key is to notice them, to celebrate them, and to let them remind you that growth is happening, even if the big results haven't shown up yet. Progress doesn't always roar, sometimes it whispers. But those whispers are the foundation of transformation. To keep that transformation alive, you must learn to handle doubt. Doubt will always try to creep in, especially when progress feels slow or setbacks appear. It will tell you you're not ready, not good enough, or that your effort isn't working. But doubt is not a sign you should quit. It's a test of whether you can keep moving without guarantees. The way to silence doubt is not through arguments with yourself. It's through action. Each step forward gives your brain evidence that you can. Action is the antidote to doubt. And every time you choose it, you weaken doubt's hold on you. Alongside doubt comes the temptation of comparison. Looking at other people's journeys can make you feel behind, unworthy, or invisible. But comparison blinds you to your own growth because it puts your focus on someone else's path instead of your own. You cannot win a race by watching another runner. The only pace that matters is yours. Each person's journey has its own timeline, shaped by different struggles, lessons, and opportunities. The moment you take your eyes off theirs and back onto your own steps, you begin to reclaim your peace. True growth comes not from competing with others, but from improving on who you were yesterday. Another challenge to momentum is perfectionism. Perfectionism convinces you not to act until everything feels flawless. But that delay is where dreams go to die. Nothing will ever be perfect, and waiting for perfect conditions means waiting forever. Growth doesn't come from flawless execution. It comes from messy attempts, failed experiments, and lessons learned. Progress requires movement, not perfection. If you can embrace being imperfect but consistent, you'll achieve more than those who wait endlessly for the ideal moment. Perfection is a trap. Progress is freedom. Choose freedom. And when you choose freedom, you realize that growth is not about control, but about adaptability. Life will throw unexpected challenges, and if your progress depends on everything going according to plan, you'll break the moment things shift. But when you're adaptable, you bend without snapping, you adjust without losing sight of your purpose. Adaptability is resilience in motion. It's the skill that allows you to continue moving forward, even when the path changes beneath your feet. The ones who thrive are not those who avoid disruption, but those who adjust quickly and keep building anyway. Adaptability keeps momentum alive when certainty is gone. One of the hardest truths to accept is that fear never really disappears. Most people waste years waiting to feel fearless before they move. But fear isn't meant to vanish. It's meant to be faced. Courage doesn't mean the absence of fear. It means deciding to act even while fear is present. The longer you wait for fear to leave, the stronger it becomes. But when you take a step forward, despite trembling hands or a racing heart, you begin to train your mind to see fear not as a stop sign, but as a signal that something meaningful is ahead. Every time you push through, fear loses its grip, and you gain a new level of strength that was always inside you. Comparison is another silent thief of progress. When you measure your life against the highlight reels of others, you forget that everyone's path is different. Social media makes it easy to believe you're behind, but you're not running their race. You're running yours. Constant comparison keeps your eyes on what you lack instead of what you can build. It drains gratitude, distorts focus, and leaves you blind to your own progress. Freedom comes when you choose to admire without envy, to learn without belittling yourself, and to stay committed to your own lane. Your journey has its own timing, and comparison will never speed it up. There will also be seasons when nothing seems to work, when your effort feels wasted and results refuse to show up. That's when doubt creeps in, whispering that maybe you should give up. But progress often happens silently beneath the surface, long before you see evidence. Seeds take time to break through the soil, and so does your growth. Consistency during silent seasons is what separates those who succeed from those who stop too soon. The test is not whether you can act when things are exciting, but whether you can keep showing up when it feels quiet, when no one is watching, when faith is all you have. It's also easy to fall into the habit of chasing motivation, waiting for a rush of inspiration to carry you through. But motivation is unreliable. It fades, it shifts, it depends on mood and circumstances. Discipline is what takes you further. Discipline is the choice to act when you don't feel like it. The structure that holds you steady when emotions waver. It's not glamorous, but it's powerful because it builds consistency, and consistency creates results. Motivation might start the engine, but discipline keeps the wheels turning long after excitement has disappeared. And finally, never underestimate the impact of your environment. You can have ambition, discipline, and drive. But if you constantly surround yourself with chaos, negativity, or distractions, your growth will stall. Environment is not neutral. It's either feeding your future or draining it. The people you spend time with, the spaces you live in, the content you consume. To grow, you must deliberately design an environment that supports your goals. That may mean removing toxic influences, adding more structure to your day, or surrounding yourself with people who expect you to rise. Change your environment, and you'll find it becomes easier to change yourself. The way you speak to yourself creates the foundation for your future. Every word you repeat becomes a seed. And over time, those seeds grow into either confidence or doubt. If you constantly tell yourself you're not ready, not capable, or not enough, you build a prison in your own mind. But when you choose to speak with belief, reminding yourself of your strengths, your resilience, and your potential, you unlock doors that fear tries to keep shut. Self-talk isn't just noise, it's the script your life follows. Changing the story you tell yourself is one of the fastest ways to change the direction of your life. But positive words alone aren't enough if they're not paired with consistency. The truth is, momentum is built in the small daily decisions most people overlook. Growth doesn't happen because of one big effort. It's the result of ordinary actions repeated over time. Skipping the hard thing once might not matter today, but repeated often enough, it becomes your identity. The opposite is also true. Showing up for yourself, even when it's inconvenient, strengthens the identity of someone who follows through. Consistency isn't glamorous, but it's what separates those who dream from those who achieve. Still, consistency must be rooted in clarity. Without a clear vision, you'll end up running in circles, working hard, but not moving closer to what matters. Clarity is knowing what you truly want, not what others expect from you. It's having the courage to define success for yourself, and then aligning your energy with that definition. Without clarity, every distraction feels like an opportunity, and you scatter your focus. But when you're clear, distractions lose their power because you know exactly where you're headed. Clarity acts like a compass. It won't make the path easy, but it will keep you from getting lost. Clarity also makes it easier to master patience, because when you know your direction, you can endure the waiting without losing hope. Too often, people give up not because they couldn't achieve their dream, but because they lost faith during the slow seasons. They mistook silence for failure, but silence often means something is growing under the surface. Patience is not passive. It's active endurance, the strength to keep moving, even when results are invisible. Learning to embrace the waiting seasons is what prepares you to handle the blessings when they finally arrive. And above all, growth is accelerated by humility, the willingness to admit you don't know everything, to learn from failure, and to keep adjusting as you go. Pride makes people rigid, but humility keeps you adaptable. The moment you believe you have nothing left to learn, you stop growing. But when you remain a student of life, every experience becomes a teacher. Success is not built on pretending to have all the answers. It's built on staying open to new ones. Humility doesn't make you smaller, it makes you stronger, because it allows you to keep evolving while others stay stuck in old patterns. Life has a way of testing patience, and in those moments, the instinct is to force outcomes, to demand results faster than they're meant to come. But real progress doesn't happen in panic. It happens in steady persistence. Patience isn't about sitting back and doing nothing. It's about working consistently, while trusting that time is part of the process. When you try to rush, you end up cutting corners, making mistakes, or quitting too soon. But when you accept that growth takes time, you release unnecessary pressure and give yourself space to keep building. Patience is not weakness. It's strength in disguise, because it teaches you endurance, resilience, and the ability to keep going long enough to see results. Another habit that holds people back is perfectionism. The belief that nothing is good enough until it's flawless. This mindset creates endless delay, because perfection doesn't exist. Waiting until everything is ideal only guarantees stagnation. Progress comes from embracing imperfection, from putting work into the world, learning from it, and adjusting along the way. Flaws are not failures, they are feedback. The people who succeed are not the ones who did everything perfectly, but the ones who dared to act even when things were messy. Excellence is built through iteration, not hesitation. Resilience is the thread that carries you through the storms. Everyone faces setbacks, rejections, and failures, but the difference between those who crumble and those who rise is how they handle the fall. Resilience means choosing to get back up again and again, no matter how many times life knocks you down. It's not about denying pain, but about refusing to let pain be the final word. Every time you recover, you prove to yourself that you're stronger than the obstacle. Over time, resilience becomes a shield, protecting your vision from the weight of temporary struggles and keeping your focus on the bigger picture. Gratitude, though often overlooked, is another powerful tool for transformation. When you focus only on what's missing, life feels like a constant struggle. But when you make space each day to notice what you already have, you train your mind to see abundance instead of lack. Gratitude doesn't mean ignoring challenges, it means choosing to also recognize the blessings. This shift in perspective changes your energy, improves relationships, and fuels resilience. A grateful heart turns even ordinary moments into sources of strength, reminding you that progress is not just about getting more, but about valuing what's already in your hands. And then there's the practice of service. A self-focused life becomes small, but when you use your gifts to uplift others, your world expands. Helping others doesn't mean neglecting yourself. It means finding purpose in contribution. The energy you give often comes back multiplied. Service humbles you, reminding you that growth isn't just about personal wins, but about impact. It strengthens communities, builds connections, and gives meaning to effort. When you live beyond yourself, even your struggles take on new value, because they equip you to guide someone else through theirs. The measure of a full life isn't just what you achieve, it's also what you give. One of the biggest sources of stress in life is trying to control things that were never yours to control in the first place. We waste energy worrying about the weather, other people's choices, the economy, or what someone thinks of us. But the truth is, control is limited. You don't get to decide everything, and the sooner you accept that, the freer you become. You can't control the past because it's already written. You can't control other people's actions because they will do what they choose. You can't control random circumstances like storms, setbacks, or surprises. But you can control your choices, your habits, and your responses. When you stop trying to micromanage the world, you stop drowning in frustration, and instead put your energy where it matters, on what you can do right now. The way to practice this is to notice the drain. Whenever you feel anxious, ask yourself if you're focusing on what you can actually influence. Shift the focus from asking why this is happening to asking what you can do with it. Trust the process, because some things need time, not control. Build acceptance by reminding yourself, this is outside my control, but my reaction is mine. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means choosing peace over panic and working with reality instead of fighting it. Ironically, when you stop clinging, you often discover more power than you expected, because your focus sharpens on what you can actually change. The world doesn't need your control. It needs your clarity. The more you let go of what isn't yours, the more energy you have to master what is. Time isn't your only resource. Energy is just as valuable, maybe even more. You can have hours available in your day, but if you're drained and exhausted, those hours won't matter. That's why the people who achieve the most aren't just good with time management, they're masters of energy management. Without energy, discipline collapses. Without energy, focus scatters. Without energy, even simple tasks feel overwhelming. Energy fuels your life, and if you treat it like currency, you'll start making smarter choices about how you spend it. The truth is that energy gets wasted in negative conversations, in overthinking the past, in constant distractions, and in doing things out of guilt. These leaks slowly sink your ship. Protecting your energy starts with saying no more often, because every yes costs you. Limit negativity by distancing yourself from people and habits that always pull you down. Guard your mornings carefully, because how you start your day sets the tone for everything that follows. Recharge intentionally through rest, movement, and stillness. Every task, every conversation, every thought is either a deposit or a withdrawal. So start asking yourself, is this worth my energy? If it isn't, stop spending it there. Time is limited, but energy is even more precious. Spend it where it multiplies, not where it dies. The most common excuse people hide behind is I'll start when the time is right, but the perfect time doesn't exist. There will always be stress, bills, responsibilities, doubts, and distractions. If you wait for life to line up perfectly, you'll wait forever. Waiting kills momentum, makes fear stronger, and lets opportunities slip away. Every day you delay, the mountain in your mind grows bigger, and the longer you wait, the harder it feels to begin. But when you start anyway, even without perfect conditions, you learn faster than by waiting. You gain clarity through action, and you create momentum that fear can't stop. You don't need the perfect plan. You just need a first step, because action opens doors you didn't even know existed. To break the illusion of the perfect time, decide on a small action today, not tomorrow. Accept imperfection, because progress matters more than perfection. Measure your effort, not just outcomes, and trust the process, because starting messy still beats not starting at all. Stop waiting for the stars to align. They won't, but they don't need to. The perfect time has always been the same. Right now. It's also easy to fill your days with noise, emails, errands, endless scrolling, rushing from one task to another, only to end up exhausted while still feeling behind. That's because being busy and being productive are not the same thing. Busyness looks like progress, but often hides procrastination. It distracts you with low-value tasks and feeds stress without actually moving your life forward. Most people stay busy because it feels safe. Real productivity, however, demands clarity and courage. Productivity means doing the work that matters, moving closer to your long-term goals, rather than chasing short-term comfort. It's about producing results, not just motion. To shift from busy to productive, identify your top 3 priorities each day. If everything is important, nothing is. Cut the noise by limiting meaningless meetings, endless notifications, and time-wasting habits. Batch your tasks by grouping similar actions instead of scattering your energy. At the end of the day, reflect by asking yourself, what actually moved me forward today? The difference is simple. Busy is scattered energy, while productive is focused energy. One drains you, the other builds you. Your life won't be measured by how much you rushed, but by what you built. Don't chase busyness. It's a trap. Choose productivity so your days become meaningful. And finally, goals are important because they give you direction. But goals alone won't carry you forward. What really determines your success are the systems you build to support those goals. Goals on their own rely too much on motivation, create pressure without a plan, and focus on outcomes rather than the process. Anyone can say they want to lose weight, save money, or build a business. But if you don't have daily systems to back it up, that goal is just a wish. Systems turn big dreams into repeatable habits. They remove decision fatigue because action becomes automatic. They build consistency, which is the real secret to success. To build strong systems, break goals into daily actions. If the goal is fitness, the system is your workouts and meals. Make habits visible by tracking and stacking them. Design your environment to remove friction for good habits and add friction for bad ones. Focus on process wins, celebrating showing up, not just outcomes. For example, the goal might be to write a book, but the system is writing 500 words every morning before checking your phone. One keeps you dreaming, the other keeps you moving. Don't just chase goals. Build systems that make progress inevitable. When your systems are strong, success becomes a byproduct of who you are, not just something you... Clarity is not found in constant busyness, but in building a life of intentional direction. You cannot grow if you're scattering your energy across distractions. The more you train yourself to cut away noise and focus on what truly matters, the lighter your path becomes. Simplicity, patience, and awareness create strength. When you slow down enough to ask the right questions, you stop rushing through life and begin to live deliberately. Too often, we believe that the solution lies in adding more strategies, more layers, more plans. But complexity usually disguises procrastination. The real shift comes from simplifying until only what matters remains. One goal, one habit, one daily action. That's what creates momentum. Complication looks impressive, but simplicity delivers results because it forces you to act. Stripping away the excess creates space for clarity, consistency, and progress. None of this is possible without protecting our energy. Energy is the true currency of growth, and most people spend it carelessly on negativity, overcommitment, and draining habits. Protecting your energy isn't about avoiding effort. It's about avoiding waste. Every choice either deposits or withdraws from your energy account. When you start investing in rest, movement, healthy fuel, uplifting people, and mental stillness, you build reserves that can sustain the pursuit of your goals. Boundaries are not selfish, they are wisdom. Your energy decides how far you can go, so you must guard it as carefully as your future. The steady engine that drives all lasting change. Motivation may excite you for a moment, but it cannot carry you for a lifetime. Discipline is what does the work when motivation disappears. It turns goals into non-negotiable habits, routines you honor regardless of how you feel. Discipline proves to you that progress doesn't require perfect moods, only consistent choices. Every time you show up without waiting for inspiration, you strengthen your identity as someone who follows through. Motivation is a spark, but discipline is the fire that keeps burning. Confidence is not something you wait to feel. It's something you earn. Small wins may look insignificant, but they compound into unshakable belief in yourself. Writing a single page, keeping a promise, resisting an old pattern, these are seeds of resilience. Confidence is built by proving to yourself again and again that you can be trusted. And once you trust yourself, Nothing external can shake you. Small wins create steady momentum, and steady momentum transforms lives. The key to living with clarity is learning to simplify your choices. Most people get trapped in overthinking because they create too many options in their heads. They weigh every possible outcome, replay scenarios, and end up paralyzed by indecision. But the truth is, progress doesn't come from having all the options laid out. It comes from moving with the options that matter. When you simplify, you cut through the noise. You stop chasing perfection and start making clear, practical choices that move you forward. Complexity kills momentum, but simplicity creates space for action. Each day, ask yourself what's essential, not what looks impressive, not what others expect, but what's truly necessary to take the next step. If a choice doesn't align with your values or your goals, let it go. Don't waste time on endless mental loops. A focused life is built by cutting away the excess. Simplify your thinking, and you'll discover that most of your stress wasn't from the situation itself, but from all the unnecessary stories you added around it. Growth isn't about juggling everything. It's about holding on to what matters most. Comparison is another silent thief of progress. You scroll, you watch, you notice someone else's highlight reel, and suddenly your life feels too small, too slow, or not enough. But comparison is an illusion. You never see the full picture. You don't see the nights of doubt, the quiet failures, the private struggles. You only see the polished surface. The more you compare, the less you create, and the less you create, the further you drift from your own path. Your only real competition is with the person you were yesterday. Did you grow? Did you show up when you wanted to quit? Did you push forward even when no one was watching? That's what matters. Every second wasted on envy is a second stolen from creation. Instead of letting comparison shrink you, let it inspire you. If someone else has achieved something, it means it's possible. And that should fuel you, not discourage you. Your race is your own. Your timing is different. Your story is unique. Stop comparing. Start creating, and while motivation is exciting, it's never enough to sustain progress. Motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes like the weather. One morning you wake up ready to conquer the world, and the next you can't even drag yourself out of bed. If your progress depends on motivation, you'll forever live in cycles of starting strong and quitting halfway. That's why habits matter more. Habits don't ask if you feel like it. They run automatically, shaping your future in the background. Imagine if the actions that move your life forward, exercising, learning, saving, creating, were as automatic as brushing your teeth. That's what habits can do. The mistake people make is trying to overhaul everything at once, setting massive goals that collapse under their own weight. Real change comes from small, repeatable actions stacked consistently over time. You don't rise to the level of motivation. You fall to the level of your habits. Build systems that support you, remove friction from good choices, and make bad choices harder. Every small follow-through reinforces your identity as someone who shows up. Habits build results. But more importantly, they build confidence. Motivation will fade, but habits will carry you through. Another weight you must drop is the obsession with control. One of the biggest reasons people feel stuck is because they spend energy on things that are outside their hands. People's opinions, the past, the economy, the unexpected twists of life. The harder you try to control what you cannot, the heavier your spirit feels. Real power comes when you learn to separate what's yours to manage from what's not. Then they wonder why they have no strength left for their real goals. Your energy is fuel. Spend it wisely. Say no when something doesn't serve your growth. Guard your focus. Surround yourself with people who lift you higher, not those who pull you down. Protecting your energy isn't selfish. It's survival. It ensures you have the strength to keep building, creating, and growing in the areas that truly matter. Consistency outshines intensity every time. Anyone can show up once with a burst of effort, but very few keep showing up when the excitement fades. Real progress isn't built on one big action, it's built on daily repeated choices. One workout won't change you, but months of effort will. One day of focus won't transform your career, but steady discipline will. Consistency is quiet, but it compounds. Each action stacks on top of the last until momentum takes over. Don't obsess about being perfect. Don't burn out chasing intensity. Master the art of small, steady progress. The person who stays consistent will always outpace the one who only shows up when it feels good. Your future begins today, not tomorrow, not next week, not when things are perfect. Today, the choices you make right now are writing the story you'll live tomorrow. Stop waiting for permission, for motivation, for the right moment. Begin where you are. With what you have, every action is a seed. Plant excuses, and you'll harvest regret. Plant effort, and you'll harvest growth. The best part is, you get to choose again every day, no matter how many times you've failed or delayed. Today is a fresh start. Your future isn't written in the stars, it's written in your actions. Take one step, then another, and don't stop. Small, steady actions will take you further than waiting for the perfect time. Begin now, own your path, build your future. Every journey worth taking will exhaust you at times. There will be days when you feel drained, when nothing seems to move forward, when your body and mind scream for relief. Most people make a mistake here. They confuse tiredness with failure. They think because they feel worn down, it means they're not capable. That's not true. Being tired doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're human. The difference between those who finish and those who give up is simple. The finishers rest instead of quitting. They know recovery is part of the process. Muscles grow during rest. Clarity often comes during stillness. Strength is rebuilt when you step back and breathe. Quitting shuts the door, but resting gives you the fuel to walk further when you rise again. You don't need to throw away your dream just because you feel drained. You need to pause, recharge, and come back stronger. Honor your limits without abandoning your purpose. Learn to say, I'm resting, not quitting. Because sometimes the most powerful step forward is allowing yourself the space to recover. Life will always give you two options: stay stuck in problems or rise by creating solutions. You've learned the habits, responsibility, focus, action, resilience, patience, gratitude, consistency, and calm. None of these are theories. They are daily choices every morning. You choose whether to feed excuses or effort, fear or courage, distraction or discipline. The truth is, progress doesn't belong to the smartest, the strongest, or the luckiest. It belongs to the ones who decide to show up again and again, even when it's hard, even when it's slow. That choice creates momentum. That momentum builds change. So as you close this book, remember, your future is not waiting for perfect conditions. It is waiting for you. Start small, stay steady, and never confuse rest with quitting. Build solutions instead of feeding problems. Lead yourself with clarity, and your life will keep expanding. Your next chapter isn't written here. It's